Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome back to the stream here. So we got a good one here. The new patch is live in K2. He or she is live, gender neutral apparently, but this character actually looks really good. And there's a lot of stuff I think we can break down about this kid and see if this is actually a must pull character, if this is a character that potentially we get a pass on. It really depends. And where I want to start with this character is going to be in his base stats, because I was looking at this with the captain a little earlier and he looks insane. Just on paper, just base stats alone for what this character is, already we got a really good character. So the base defense here, 267 on a damage character, is already pretty high for like on the way higher end of base defense, and 100 or 1100 attack, almost 1200 attack is fantastic for a damage dealer. That usually you're in the 1000 range. Some of them go way higher, but their defense is very lacking. So already base stat wise, you're getting a lot of stuff out of this character. Then we have a crit chance party buff that's one of the better ones, not the best out there, but still very good. A lot of teams actually use this. This is kind of, you mainly want to base your team around, you're going to have your defense one, you're going to have the 50% melee attack or 50% ranged, and then also a specific element type damage one, and then crit is also going to fall into that as well. So this is very good. And well, I'll talk about questions here later when it comes to, I see one question about recommended team comp for Camille. I believe that deserves its own topic. We'll definitely cover all that later. But right now, I think the pressing news is going to be MK2. This is a brand new character, just came live. If you guys are not familiar, Korean servers 2 weeks ahead of most servers. So NA server in this particular case is what I'm familiar with. They're 2 weeks ahead. I'm on my free-to-play account. That's why we actually have the patch here and not on NA. And this is really cool because we get a first look into what this character will be and get an idea 2 weeks in advance if we should pull for this character or not. And looking at the kit, very interesting. So then rifle slash accessory is going to be the main use of the weapon for this character. And then let's actually read the normal attack. She uses, so canonically, apparently it's a she. So I keep getting, all the comments have been mixed. So it's definitely a she. Uses two types of attack modes. Cannon mode launches a grenade to inflict damage to nearby enemies, and then rifle mode rapid fires bullets at high speeds to inflict damage. And that's so it's kind of interesting. We got two modes there. Then this is where it gets really good. I really like characters like this that have the chain skill going from airborne to injured, even though it's pretty rare. So getting more characters like this is a welcome addition. We have inflicts 280% of DPS damage, so that's a pretty good modifier. To nearby targets with a powerful explosion, and reduces dark type resistance by 30%. So this has been a new theme going on with characters nowadays, where we got Eleanor, we've had Bari in the past, and then now this character where we're getting this extra 30%. So a lot of characters are reducing, like, so for example, Beth and Gabriel in their respective elements are reducing by 20% already. And this is not something where it's going to stack and you're going to get 20% plus 30, you're getting 30 in its place. But it does make a pretty big difference in that moment of damage, and people are starting to take advantage of those moments with Eleanor and with Bari to really be able to maximize a ton of damage there because of this extra little dark type resistance reduction in that moment when you do the chain skill. So having this effect on characters, I wouldn't sleep on it. It's not as good as it looks potentially if you go 20% reduction of Beth plus this, but it's still very good. And then lastly, we have a special ability here where on hit increases defense by 40%, which, back to how good the base defense of this character is, a 40% increase is actually really good, because normally characters like this would only have them like the low 200s, maybe even, you know, high 100s. So a 40% reduction, which is a very high modifier on an already good defense, is an amazing passive there for survivability, and increases movement speed by 10 seconds. So already a very good character from the looks of it. Yo, what's good, Captain? How you doing? And then exclusive weapon, so she puts people into airborne, 320% DPS, so that's very good. And then requests chopper support to inflict damage around the target and puts enemies in an airborne state. So this is just an AoE like Marina, which is a very powerful weapon skill. So this is already looking out to be a very good arena character, because we have defense on the passive, we have a good weapon skill, and looks like we're going to have a good attack animation as well. We'll look into that here in a moment. And then the stats on this, looks like this is going to be a very good weapon to pull for him already with the weapon skill, but increases damage of autonomous weapon system by 50% with 50% chance, and then movement speed increases by 10% when using close air support. So if you're going to be pulling for this character, you absolutely need the weapon, in my opinion. It's just too good not to use. I think this character is mainly going to be arena, and then probably in other things too. But let's actually look at the animations from the best we can from the summoning to try to get a better idea. So the reason why attack animation is so good, it was good, Ken, how you doing? So it determines if the character is actually good. You can't look at a character on paper in this game without looking at the attack animations, because they're so unique, and it really makes a big difference. So it looks like we have kind of a slower one, that first, the grenade launcher one, but a decent range unit, and kind of this, like, what it looks like to me is it looks like a very kind of like a bruiser. It's like a range bruiser where you're a little tankier than normal. Your range is not as high as normal range style characters, so maybe not is going to be a good character for Coliseum, but I can totally see this character being used in arena, totally seeing this character as a good DPS unit for raiding. So we got a pretty good character here. I can see you fitting this character in teams for Camazone and Orbital Lift. But there's a couple interesting things that me and Captain were talking about earlier in preparation for this topic, which is dark teams. And normally dark teams now, actually here I can pull it up on best raid teams, and this is gonna be a topic for a little bit later, but if you look at the raid teams now, it's mainly melee based. It's dark / melee based. We have Lilith, Beth, and then Arabelle with Lupina, and then you could also put in CPR Yuze in there, or Lifeguard Yuze as well. So it's a melee focused team. You have two characters that are giving the 50% melee buff, whereas now with this character, potentially the dark team could focus more on a range style damage source, whether it be Arabelle, the new character in MK2, and then also Lupina. But that would be like a double crit chance. It looks like if you're going to do that, though, you're probably going to have to pull maybe either a Tinia, maybe like a Nari, some other generic range style character from another team to make that work, which is interesting, and that's totally normal in the grand scheme of things. But when it comes to other teams, like water teams pull other elements, this is not unheard of to do. It's just the Earth team, for example, is already a very good team, so making a team like full on air or like ranged instead of the typical already good dark team might not be worth it for people, and you're kind of forcing something to happen. It's going to ruin a potentially other really good team, and just to make the dark team ranged, which might not even on paper look like it's going to be that much better than the already established dark team that if you're in the market for this character anyway, you're going to want to pull, you're already going to have. So that's why I think when it comes to this character, for the most part, I think this is a great character for people that have dark characters already, and it's going to fit in there for the most part with other dark characters. But it depends on if you're looking for an arena style character. This is going to do well against arena. She's already an amazing character in arena. She's pretty much taking over the arena charts as it is. So I think this is going to be a pretty good, if not must pull style character. I don't know if this is going to be on the same vein as a Camille on a character. I have no idea, guy or girl, whatever. I believe it's a her. But I think for the most part, when it comes to this character, I think if we had a tier list for how good of a character is going to be, Camille is one of the top one would be like Future Princess. Camille's right up there, and then we got MK2 on probably a tier just below of a Camille, to give you guys an idea of just how good I think this character is going to be. And that raises up if you already have a lot of dark support as it is, because he's going to fit it. He does the 30% dark reduction, so he's kind of pigeonholing himself to a dark team as it is. So I think it's a really good character. What do you guys think? I'm curious if you have any comments on MK2. What are you guys' predictions on what this character is going to be? This guy or girl is going to be. I think it's interesting. The entire topic is mainly about whether it's a guy or a girl. I feel like with Guardian Tales, it's, if you're on the fence, it's probably a girl. But let me see. Does it say age ? Yeah, it literally says right here. If we want to end the discussion, it literally right here it says it. But whatever you guys want to be headcanon is totally headcanon. So and then the next topic, as you can see at the top, what I wanted to talk about this is power creep becoming an issue, because we've had a lot of very good characters come through. Camille's one, Arena is one, Scintilla not so much, and then Eleanor. And Eleanor, Arena, Camille, all amazing characters, all pretty much knocking out other characters that have been in like a light team. For example, I think Eleanor is absolutely amazing in a light team. Arena is just a very good standalone unit. Camille is taking Rue's place in Earth teams, and he's just overall a very generic good unit as is. And we potentially have been seeing some power creep here. And all these games have power creep. I'm not trying to argue. The difference is what people get discouraged by is too much power creep, too fast of it, where it's you literally like whatever characters you had before, they're absolutely useless if you don't get the newest ones. And that's you know, an issue with potentially all these games. But I think at the moment, if we look to other characters, depending on progression, a lot of the characters we've gotten a ton of value out of, and they're still very good characters. So I think power creep is happening in this game, but it's not blatant like here's an ability and then here's this new ability that's just objectively better. I think we're getting a lot more diversity in this game, and we're getting characters that are slightly better than other characters that are not already being used. But a lot of the characters that have been used in general in this game are still being used. A Future Princess is still the best value. If you're just starting an account, $10 guarantees you a Future Princess. So there's still characters like Ogma is an absolutely incredible, almost must-have character if you want to progress in harder parts of content. Maya's up there. A lot of, depending on what element you go, you should be able to pretty much beat all content, whether you go Earth, Light, Fire even. So I feel like power creep is getting on the conversation, but it's not fully there yet, because there's still a lot of old characters that have had multiple attempts to get that are still good, if not some of the best characters in the entire game. So I don't think we're there yet. But at the same time, from a specific type of content perspective, we are getting power creep where it's like Arena is just a very good Arena specific character. She is also good in Coliseum and other game modes as well, but still it's like when it comes to Arena specifically, an amazing character. But I think power creep is not at the point where it's actually a problem yet. And I think Slay's Vampire has a great solution for power creep. I think there's two things built into the game to combat it that I think they really need to start considering as soon as possible. The hero reset, fantastic call out. I think the hero reset needs to be something that they do a little bit more often. They're very stingy with it for good reason. I think it's something that, you know, obviously has to be pretty rare, but at the same time, I think it's a little too rare. And the next thing is in the training room, they can be adding that second slot in the training room. I think those two things would go a long way in making sure power creep, which is always going to be a factor in these games, can stay in check to where it's not unreasonable and people get discouraged and don't want to keep playing the game anymore. Yeah, and I think Akuma has a good point where power creep in this game is becoming very slowly, but still not making units completely unviable. There's another content creator I follow a lot. His name's Mobile Gamer. He calls it, there's power creep and then there's power leap. And power leap is the thing that we absolutely don't want to deal with. And I haven't seen a moment of that. You could argue that power leap happened with Future Princess all the way back then, but if I would feel like power leap is actually happening if Future Princess was like the new standard and we just kept getting more and more characters like that. But we've been able to get one amazing character that completely has been able to carry people's accounts for a very long time. And so it's almost like even though that was out of the ordinary for how good that character was, we haven't gotten any more like that. So we've been able to have a really good investment in just one character. I agree. I'm thinking like you get 3 a year, 3 to 4 a year kind of thing. I think that would actually be totally reasonable. Or they just actually make the second room in the training room and then keep it at the same, like it's one or the other, you know, so or both, you know, like I think we're getting to that point where the second room in the training room is something that needs to be happening here pretty quickly. But I think that's pretty much it when it comes to this new character here. So we got issues of power creep and then the new patch when it comes to the character. I think this is going to be a good character. I'm excited for it. I'm wondering if from Arena perspective, I think she's going to be good. From a rating perspective, I wonder if she's actually going to take over the current dark team or if there's going to be two dark teams. Just kind of in conclusion here, when a ranged version of it and a melee version of it, because currently at the moment you got Lilith being splashed in like fire teams because she's just so good from a melee perspective that maybe that will happen, and then you'll have a ranged dark team for certain bosses. And then let's actually, before we close this out, I think that's a good point. Let's actually look at all the people that are summonable in 2 weeks from now on the NA server. So we have MK2, then we have Arabelle, Lilith, Beth, and that's it. So I think these are going to be the main characters that you're going to want to pull. One thing that I think is interesting though is they don't have Lupina on here. And Lupina is probably the one that works best from a chain perspective in the dark team with this new character, even though most of the time you don't really want to have two crit damage characters on the same team or crit rate characters on the same team. But if you look at it, we have this guy, he goes airborne to injured, and then let's actually pull up Lupina and injured to airborne. So both of them, well, she's melee, so it's kind of rough where it's like, yes, you're getting the advantage of being able to go from injured to airborne, but you're getting crit chance, which more characters with crit chance, I think you're missing out on potential more damage with a different party skill, and she's melee for the most part. So, and then when it comes to Lilith or Beth, I think for the most part, Lilith is better. I think Lilith does more damage. Yes, she's not as tanky, and Beth still has her place. It's not like a complete replacement, but if I had to choose between the two, I'm definitely choosing Lilith.